Welcome to the Grateful Grief Podcast. Welcome back if you've been here before. Welcome if you're the first time here. I'm honored to have you here. And today we're going to delve into another deeply personal story, one that marked my early understanding of grief and loss. Our episode today is entitled Losing My Cousin Mikey to Leukemia. It's a story that for many years left me confused and struggling the process of losing someone so young. I hope that by sharing it, we can shed light on the importance of acknowledging grief, both for children and adults. As a child, my understanding of death was so limited, I believed that only old people died. Not young people or babies. But that belief was shattered when my little cousin Mikey passed away from leukemia at age 3. Michael was the cousin I always longed for because I was an only child. I finally had a playmate, someone to share my childhood with, but just as quickly as he came into my life, he was gone. Mikey's death was incredibly hard to process. Nobody talked about what happened. My parents, my aunt, and my uncle were all sad, but there was a silence. It was a silence that enveloped our family. There were no conversations about Mikey, no explanation of why he had died, and certainly we never talked about what we were feeling. As a child, I was left to navigate this confusing and painful experience on my own. And as the years passed, my aunt, Mikey's mother, would talk about him all the time. She would repeat the same stories over and over. And I realize now that she never processed her grief. She never resolved the guilt she felt about not being able to save her son, even though there was nothing she could have done. She carried it around like a rock on her heart. My uncle, Mikey's father, just withdrew and became sad and quiet. But over all those years, there was no healing. Experiences like losing Mikey can have a lasting impact on how we deal with grief throughout our lives. When grief is not acknowledged or discussed, it can create a sense of isolation and confusion. Children especially need a safe place to express their emotions and ask questions. Ask questions and share what they're feeling. When these opportunities aren't provided, it can lead to unresolved grief, like my aunt's, that carries into adulthood. It's essential for both kids and adults to process their grief and not ignore it or think there's something wrong with grieving. Grief is a natural response to loss, and it's okay to seek help even if you don't know how to explain what you're feeling. Talking about our experiences, sharing our stories, and finding support can help us navigate the complexities and begin to heal. I encourage you, reflect on your own experiences with grief, especially those from your childhood. What was your first experience? Try and unpack that. Consider how those experiences shaped your understanding of loss and the way you cope with things today. If you're supporting someone who's grieving, remember the importance of creating a safe space for them to express their emotions without judgment. It's so important. Thank you for joining me today and allowing me to share my story. We'll continue this journey of exploring the different facets of grief. And I encourage you to please leave me a comment, leave me a question. I'd be glad to respond. Remember, you are not alone. Together we can find strength and hope amidst the grief. Until next time, take care and be kind to yourself. This is Sara Armstrong signing off. Thank you for being part of the Grateful Grief podcast.